Everybody, welcome to the Shoe and Show. Thanks for joining us again. Every now and again, we get really great shoe stories. Actually, most of the time, we get really great shoe stories. Doesn't matter what category, doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's journey is a little bit different. And that's what makes this industry so fun and dynamic and relational in many ways, Matt, are the stories and the people behind the products, making the products, loving the products, and delivering these products globally and to especially U.S. consumers. So as we look at, today's shoe story, I think will be very interesting, and I'm excited to hear about it because the company has a long shoe story in particular. So as we tee that up and talk a little bit about Made in the USA and American heritage, who we got today?
Yeah, Andy, I love our shoe stories because you're right. They're these diamonds in the rough, right? And these things we never thought we thought we knew somebody until we asked them their shoe story. And so this one's unique because we could probably do a whole series on the depth and the length of this company's shoe story. And so today our guest is Jeff Burns, who's president at Weinbrenner Shoe Company. Jeff, welcome to the Shoe and Show podcast. We're grateful that you're here. Out of the gate, let's talk about Weinbrenner's deep and unique history and what your role is in the company here in 2025.
Yeah, you're right. It's an incredible history. Less than 1% of the companies of any kind in the country can say they're over 100 years old. We can say we're over 133 years old.
Wow.
So we started as Weinbrenner Shoe Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1892.
Wow.
Put that in perspective, the Civil War just ended 30 years before. So, it was really quite a fascinating history to the company.
Yeah. So let's go from 1892 to 2025. Talk to us about your journey with the company, what your role is, and then who are your brands? What are the brands that you manufacture and sell to the American public?
Yeah. I got with Weinbrenner Shoe Company back in 2011. So I've been with them for, 13, 14 years. And I've been president of the company since 2019, and it's been an incredible journey. Like I said, we're an old-time legacy brand, but we're fresh, and a lot of people don't know who we are, and we're gaining momentum as a company. And the thing that's exciting for me is to hear somebody say, "I didn't know who you were. My buddy's got your product. He loves your product, so I thought I'd give it a try because made in USA and looks nice." And that's all I ever wear, and we get pictures from all around the country. I'm on my 6th pair. I'm on my 7th pair. I got married in these. It's just, it's an emotional attachment. Footwear is funny, as you guys know, and people can really become emotionally attached to the footwear. And the thing that's nice about us is we make the best boots in the world, number one. But number two, you can feel proud that you're supporting Made in USA. We've got 400 employees that right here in Wisconsin that are making these shoes.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What does a work day look like for your employees? Like, are you running a 9-to-5 cycle? Are you running longer? What does the production look like today?
Yeah, we've got 2 shifts we run. One's is 5 days a week, 6 to 2:30. We've also got a shift that we run 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Whereas we continue to grow, we might be looking at adding second shifts or things like that. But right now, it's the one shift, the first shift. Just like the one is 5 days a week, one is 4 days a week.
Yeah, and it's if you go to the website and just take a look at their boots, you can see exactly what Jeff's talking about there in terms of the quality and the beauty of what they have. And it looks like most of those are kind of Goodyear handcrafted footwear that you guys are making, correct?
That's really what we're known for. I mean, that's kind of our niche.
Yep.
But we've also got the capacity to do cemented footwear.
Okay.
We take unit sole and cement it, which we do some. And we've also got an injection machine, a Desma machine from Germany that we've got. And we launched a new product line last year. Oh, she gave me the shoe.
There we go.
Right here.
Show and tell.
Called Genesis. And this is really one of the most technologically advanced pieces of footwear we've developed in the history of the company. And it's got a nitrile rubber outsole, put it in the machine, and it injects the PU to the midsole. And nano toe, combination last, orthotic. We work with a podiatrist to develop, really, again, expanding in the work category. We don't want to, you're not going to see us develop sandals or, nurses' shoes. We're work shoes. That's what we are. That's what we do. But this fits that category. We, again, like you said, welt is really our core, but we continue to expand. Somebody who wants maybe a little more flexibility, wants a little lighter weight shoe, this fits that bill.
Jeff, let me ask you this. What are your key retail channels? Are you doing obviously direct to consumer, but specific retailers or locations around the country are seeing increase in growth and interest in your product and your amazing boots and, key parts of our country? There's a lot of building and there's a lot of, work. Talk us through the demand side of things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we do, we really believe in the partnerships from our retailers. So we're one of the last companies who do not sell direct to consumer. We supply our retail partners, support retail partners. So we've got that channel. So brick and mortar, we still believe heavily in brick and mortar, support brick and mortar, and then also e-commerce. Got a lot of e-commerce. Some distributors that are up on the Amazon platform that sell through the Amazon platform. But no, we don't sell direct to consumer because that would, in our opinion, undermine our partnerships with our retailers, and we support them. And again, we're one of the last companies that don't sell.
That's true. I stand corrected. My apologies about that. Let me ask you this. Are you doing job site sell through, right? The trucks that pull up and sell to those who are literally on the job site. Are those strategies you've thought about before?
Yes. And we do have a lot of that direct to job site, but again, it's run through distribution. Mm-hmm. We've looked at, do we put our own website or an e-commerce website up? And we've seen other brands do that. And there was a really interesting story from Nike, and that they did a lot of that direct to consumer with their outlet stores and a lot of other things, and how it's bit them in the fanny, and why they're backpedaling on the direct to consumer, trying to get back to garner the support of the retailers. And it was really an interesting case study about be careful selling direct to consumer. It looks better because maybe your margins are better. There's a lot of positives, but you lose the support of your distribution base.
Let me ask you about that too, because I think it's a good message in terms of operational and revenue and business, but also we know that consumer intelligence has gained a lot more in brick and mortar, right? We get direct feedback to your retail partners. I'm guessing based on your relationship, they feed that information back to you guys, and that results in what you're doing now with this product creation of something a little bit lighter, still well constructed, still very durable, but you're using some new machines. But I think that's a huge, kind of benefit of, it's one thing to sell direct to consumer because there's a revenue model for people of what they're looking for. But in terms of product creation, especially here in the US where you can pivot very quickly, it seems like something very valuable to get that direct consumer feedback.
Well, you're 100% right. And, in our DNA, we're 133 years old. And we like to think long-term. And, when you look at short-term decisions, be it, if we go direct to consumer, we can realize X number more margin. Well, that's a short-term philosophy, and it's not a long-term growth strategy. So part of our long-term growth strategy is exactly what you said. Partner up with the retailers. What are we missing? We get told a lot of times what we do well, and we love that feedback, but what can we do better? And that's one of the things that's been an initiative with this company, both in manufacturing processes, but also in processes and in how we do, policies and procedures, is continuous improvement. We wake up every day. How can you be better? How can you become better? And you're right, getting that information from the retailer. Maybe we think the women want a pink shoe, but that's not true. They want, they're out there working just as hard as the men. And we came up with a line of women's boots that look like the men's boots because they didn't want flowers and ribbons and stuff on there. They wanted a boot just like the men that could perform, that would give them the comfort, durability, and that's what we produced. And we got that feedback from our retailers, which is invaluable.
That is invaluable. let's talk about the moment we're in from a domestic production standpoint, Jeff. We represent a majority of footwear domestic producers here at FDRA. People don't realize that. No matter where you kind of fall in the tariff conversation, we have members on both sides for obvious reasons. There's a moment where there's at least a brighter spotlight in domestic production. You couple that with next year's the 250th birthday of this great country, the United States of America. Have you seen an increase in interest in the brand just based on the Made in America proposition that you provide?
There is absolutely no question. There's no question. Now, kind of as an aside before I go a little deeper on that, just because you put a flag on it and say Made in America, Made in USA, you can't put out a sub-quality product, a substandard product. You've got to put out the right product. Made in USA only gets you so far, gets you the pride, but you've got to make the right product and make it perform, which we do. But yes, when you couple the good product that we make with the pride of we're Made in USA, and like you said, people now looking to embrace that pride and show the pride, and we hang the flag all over the boots. We've definitely seen an increase in that. And it's interesting when you talk to people, it's like you hear other companies talk about reshoring or maybe how do we get back? It's like, I say, we never left. We've been here for 133 years. We believe in Made in USA. We believe in our people. We believe that we can compete with anybody, and we've shown that to be true.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your story before the company. Are you a old shoe dog, or are you where did you come from before you came into the company?
Well, before I got older, I like the term old shoe dog. Now it's like, don't call me old. but you're right. I am a shoe dog. I've been in the business, in one capacity or another for close to 40 years. And, I've worked with some great companies over the years, and you always learn something from the company that you were at. And this is the first president job that I've held with the company, but I've been in both sales, marketing, and management throughout my career, and bringing a lot of that knowledge here. But the thing that I've learned from like a lot of mentors is going through the years. If you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're not a good leader. And one of our core values is listen to learn and do the right thing. So we make sure metaphorically that we've got our bus, it's well defined, our core values, and then put the people on the bus that believe in the core values, and then put the people in the right seat, metaphorically, on the bus, and get good people and let them do their job. And that's what we've done. So, long story short, a lot of my career has been get the right people and get them in the right position, and they let them do the jobs, and then you'll be successful as a company.
I assume you're driving the bus, Jeff. We're extending this out. You're driving the bus, right?
Yeah, you still ultimately, you still have somebody who has the final say and has the direction and the vision. But like I said, and believe me, my wife would definitely confirm this statement. I'm never the smartest guy in the room. We've got people who are good at what they do, and I drive the bus to get them from one point to the other, but it's been an exciting ride.
Awesome.
I wish I was 10 years younger so I could spend another 10 years with the company.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me kind of get back more on the technical conversation around domestic production. Talk to us about the supply chain and the materials available here in the States. If you're thinking about, let's say you decide you said you don't do some of these other categories, nursing shoes and others, but let's say, we're going to rock a sneaker, or we're going to a sneaker boot or something like that, and you need to go and find the materials. How well developed is supply chain? Or in your mind, if there's more production that comes back to the U.S., what is necessary for us as a country to develop as it relates to materials? And the reason I ask this is that at our executive summit, April 29th and 30th here in Washington, D.C., we're going to have a whole panel conversating around domestic production and what needs to happen to kind of continue to prop that up in substantive ways. So you're an expert, you're on the ground, you make these decisions every day. help our viewers and our listeners understand what's at stake and what do we need to do as a country to fulfill that dream.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, the infrastructure that we've let slip away, like steel toes. I mean, right now there's one steel toe company left in the United States.
I've heard that.
One.
Is it in the guy's garage? I've heard that too, or is that a myth?
No, it's pretty much true. Pretty much true. It's a good operation, but you got one. And there's certain times where we do all we can to source components out of the USA, but sometimes they're unavailable or they're in short supply, and you've got to have backups. And that's why when you see our product, it says "Made in the USA" with imported and USA components, because sometimes you can't get brass eyelets out of the United States, so you got to go to Italy. Sometimes you can't get the welt material, so you got to go to Brazil or something. And so, yeah, if we're going to continue to bring manufacturing back, we've got to build the infrastructure to be able to support it.
Yeah, well said. It is interesting. I like the idea of somebody in their garage making something. There's a scrappiness to it, right? There's a good American story behind that. And I think that feeds into what you guys are doing too with your workforce. Tell me, in terms of your workforce, what kind of age ranges do you guys have? Are there? That's also a point people bring up is the next generation in our industry. Do we see growth there? Do we see technical growth and or are we aging out in this kind of space? And you mentioned, the Desmo machine. It's very interesting, the robotics coming in. It kind of, in some ways, it speaks to, it gives an incentive to a new generation to come in and see and realize footwear is not, this kind of just hands touch down the line type thing that we might see in Asia. But in America, it's really dynamic. There's engineering, there's science, etc. Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the word engineering. We created an engineering department several years ago to focus on automation, to focus on continuous improvement. And, we are a union shop. We've been a union shop since 1944. We've been a union shop. And so when the union hears automation, the first thing they go to is layoffs or less people. And that's not what we're looking at it for. As we continue to grow, we need to be able to make more boots, but the labor pool is only so big. And so what you've got to do is be able to make more with the same amount of people. So, the unions are supporting us in our quest for automation, because we've laid it out to them that automation doesn't mean layoffs. What you said, maybe instead of having somebody with a old-fashioned press pounding out with cookie cutters leather, they load it, they dial it in, and now they're working with an automated machine. Still need an operator, but their skill level is a little different, which, you look at somebody doing it manually with a press, you get a 25, 28, 30-year-old guy or a woman, that's really not that impressive to me to do that. But now you got somebody who, they're playing a video game, doing and laying out the leather, and you can get people to do that. So we're very, very much looking at automation.
That's really cool. My last question for you before I turn it over to Andy is, what's your capacity pairs wise right now? And what do you hope it to be? Let's say we're having this conversation in 2030. If you look back, what do you hope the growth looks like if there's this renewed interest in domestic production?
That's an interesting question, because like you guys said, begin with the tariffs, so we're not going to get into that. But when you look at one side that says this is going to be the greatest revolution in the history of the world and the best economy the world has ever seen. You listen to the other side, and it's Armageddon, death and destruction. We're headed right for the iceberg. It's going to where. So I'm not going to comment on either side. We don't get political here, but there is uncertainty, and the uncertainty is filtered through to the consumer. And I think there's a lot of hesitancy on the consumer right now. So we've got to be careful on our growth. But you said earlier, there's a lot of people finding out who the brand is. A lot of people, when they find out the brand, they love the story, they love the product, we actually had last year double-digit growth when a lot of the industry was flat. This year, we're halfway through our fiscal year. Our fiscal started in October. We are even further ahead in growth than we were last year.
For
So
you. That's amazing.
Double-digit growth again. And it's because when people find out about it, like I said, we fulfill the promise of pride in Made in USA, but the boots are going to perform at a high level for you. And so, to answer your question with what's going on, and we see, if 2 years ago an American boot was here in price and an import boot was here in price, with what's going on in the world, those gaps are narrowing. And I think you're going to see somebody that maybe said, I can't spend $60 more on a pair of Made in USA. I want it, but I can't. Now he's looking at going, there's only $20 difference. I'm going to try Made in USA because I've got pride in my country. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that.
My final question, and I'll put you on the spot, Jeff. What shoes are you wearing right now? How old are they?
Well, we got nominated. We've been nominated 3 years in a row for Wisconsin Manufacturer of the Year. And this year, it was February 20th, I think was the award ceremony. So we were all in our James Bond tuxedos. We wore tuxedos.
There we go.
Nice.
And these.
Nice.
So I am wearing what we call our Midnight Series. And we get a lot of people who are actually wearing these as lifestyle footwear. We're not chasing the lifestyle category, but a lot of guys, they look great in a pair of jeans or with a tuxedo. And we were actually awarded the More Show and Tell.
All right.
Wow. Congratulations.
Here. An incredible award. And that really, more than I can say, it really confirms what I've been saying. We've got great people who care, make a great product. They're committed to what they're doing. They're engaged in what they're doing. And again, we're being recognized. It's great to tell ourselves in this room we're a great company, and we know we are. But to get these recognitions from independent third parties really, really is exciting.
That's awesome.
And again,
Great.
133 years old, but yet still innovative, still growing, and still evolving and becoming the best company we can be.
That's great. Tuxedo ready footwear. Work footwear for tuxedos. It's a whole new category. We just created it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, we had some women part of our executive team. Our CFO is a woman, and our VP of HR is a woman, and they had really nice evening gowns. I tried to get them to wear these shoes with the evening gowns. Wasn't successful. That's
all right.
It also pairs well with the Canadian tuxedo. I'm just saying.
Oh, man. Well, Jeff, congratulations on your award and what you guys are doing. Fascinating story. If anybody who wants to go visit their website, obviously you can just you can Google them and take a look. I think spring's out. Spring work boots are out. So if you're out there doing the hard work, grab a pair of boots. If you're not out there doing hard work, like me and Matt sitting in the office, Matt will still grab a pair of boots.
100% will, for sure.
For sure. So with that, Jeff, we appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about the story of your company and the work that you're doing and speaking on behalf of the workers there. We appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. I love nothing better than talking about the company. I mean, it's an exciting story. And again, you're right. We could spend another 2 hours talking about how we made boots for the troops in World War I, how we, did dedicate our entire production to the war effort in World War II. I mean, how we're building a brand new 70,000 square foot building in the city of Marshfield, brand new.
Wow.
Investing in Made in USA. We could talk.
You got to come back, Jeff. That's all. You got to come back.
We'll have to touch base and figure out when that happens, so we can have you back and chat about that for sure.
And maybe get you guys out here and you can be part of the ribbon cutting on the new building.
That'd be great.
Matt, cut any ribbon.
How many footwear companies are investing in building 70,000 square foot new facilities in this country?
You can count them on one finger, I think, Jeff.
It's the same amount as the guy making the steel-toed shoes in his garage. So,
well, our factory in Marshfield, real quick. I know we got to get out of here, but it's a 90-year-old building, and we're in Wisconsin, and it gets cold in the wintertime in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful old brick building, but it's single pane windows. There are no parking, so you got to park on the street and walk in, trying to keep it warm in the wintertime. It's laid out, all cut up, and it was like, you know what? Our employees deserve better than this. So we've got, again, a brand new rectangle, beautiful 70,000 square foot facility, and it should be done later this year, beginning of next, and cut the ribbon on that. And again, we believe in Made in USA. Talk is cheap, but when you put up a brand new 70,000 square foot facility, your money's where your mouth is. You
That's
believe.
right. You have to load your bus up and drive it up from the old place to the new place.
That's a good one. Jeff, thanks for joining us today, folks. Shoeandshow.com is our website with our full catalog of shows. We've been doing this for a long time. And if you haven't joined us before, go back and listen to some of these stories that we have. And we're basically building a canon and a catalog of footwear industry leaders, footwear stories, talking about product and all the dynamics of our great industry and our consumer base. So as always, we appreciate you listening. And until next time, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.